everybody, welcome to Como Live, brought to you by the Legacy Amendment. My name is Kelsey, and this afternoon I am in our north garden, and I'm answering the question, where does chocolate come from? So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the cacao trees, so we're going to show those, and I'll talk a little bit about the pods that grow on those trees, and a little bit about the process of how chocolate is made too. So first, the cacao tree. You can see the tree right here behind me. We got several of them in our north garden. Also a few in our Tropical Encounters exhibit as well. The cacao tree is naturally found in the Amazon rainforest in South America. So it's a tropical tree and it is an understory tree. So it doesn't really grow very tall. It instead would grow under taller canopy trees. It's pretty easily identifiable from the really large leaves that it has. And the cool thing about those leaves is that the cacao tree can turn the leaves either vertically or horizontally, and that helps it catch more light and grow. You can also see the pods on the cacao tree. Those are the cacao pods. And a fun fact about cacao trees is that they're cauliflorous. And that word means that the fruit or the flowers grows from the stem instead of the new growth of the plant. So you can see the pods there, they're growing from the stem. And that's what you would see if you're walking through. So a little bit about the cacao pods themselves. Cacao pods are fruit, and you can probably see them on our video here. When they're not ripe, they are green in color. So most of our cacao pods that you can see are green. And as the cacao pods ripen, they turn more of an orangey, brownish, kind of reddish color. So it takes several months for the pods themselves to grow. And then it would take a few weeks after that for them to ripen. So, saying all of that, where does the chocolate come in? Well, the cacao tree itself was domesticated about 4,000 years ago. And pretty shortly after that, the distribution of the tree spread. So now, today, it grows pretty much all along the equator. It's farmed, I should say, not naturally grown, but farmed all along the equator in portions of Africa, Asia, and other portions of South America, too. But when it was first domesticated, it was either the Olmecs or the Mayans who first extracted the beans from the cacao pod. So they would take the beans and they would make kind of a frothy, hot, really bitter drink. Today, the pods are farmed and the beans are used, and that's how chocolate is made. So, one of our horticulture staff was kind enough to give us a cacao pod, and I cut it in half so you're going to be able to see the inside of it. But this is kind of what the outside looks like. You can see the rind is really, really tough. If you're looking at the inside though, super cool. It's kind of got that really weird, fruity, fleshy texture. And you can see those are the halves of the beans there. So those seeds, or beans as we'll refer to them for the rest of the talk, that's how chocolate is made. That's where chocolate comes from. So the farmers would chop off the ripe pods from the trees, and then they would take the beans out of the pods. They would actually take the beans, this is disgusting. They would take the beans out with that fleshy material still left on it. And then they would leave the seeds, they would lie them in a really flat tray, and they would cover them, and they would actually ferment them. So they'll ferment them for about a week. And the fermentation process of the beans is super important because the beans themselves are extremely bitter, and the fleshy part is actually pretty sweet, has more of a sugary texture. So birds and monkeys and other animals that live in the rainforest would definitely eat the fleshy texture. But as I was saying, the fermentation process is really important because during that time, the beans will actually take and absorb a lot of that flavor from the fleshy part, and that helps to make the chocolate. And then after the beans are fermented, they're laid out in the sun to dry, and they lose all that fleshy part, and they lose about half of their size and weight as well. Once they're dried, it's really simple. They're dried in the sun because they live in hotter environments. Then they're shipped off in large sacks to a processing plant, and that's really where the process of chocolate being made happens. There's a lot of great videos and resources online you can look up of the process of how chocolate is made once it gets to that plant. The processing plant, it's probably a lot more interesting than what I can describe to you right now, so I definitely encourage you to check that out if you're interested in learning more about the actual process of how the beans are made into the chocolate. But really, a lot of sugar and butter is added, and it's processed in different ways to get different types of chocolate too. But like I said, our cacao trees are here in our north garden, and they're also in tropical encounters. So next time you're visiting, you can definitely walk through, see if you can see any pods growing on the trees, and see if any of them are ripe. But yeah, all you need to do is make a reservation to come and visit us. So I hope you learned a little bit something about the cacao trees and chocolate today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.